let me ask you, like, what do you think the line get drawn between faith and trust in God, right? You got faith, right? But you don't trust God gonna see your faith all the way to the end. I think that's a thin line. I think we even get that confused. You know, I think we get trust in God and faith confused. Because if you know the end result, right, that ain't faith. But say if you know the end result, but you still don't trust God to get you through to the end. So where did that line? Where did that water become shallow at? Between that's faith good. And trust, you know.
That's good. You know? I think this too. I think people with that term, there is a difference between the two that you're saying that people don't look at.
It's
right?
a difference.
It's a difference. Really so, for example, I'll use Gerard. Right, Gerard's 6'6". Yeah. When you sat down on that bench, right? It did not require faith to do that. Right? And so you trusted that bench could support you. Yeah. But it didn't take faith.
Right.
That's good.
Right? So faith says there's a place that I'm going, that God has called me to go, but I don't know how it's going to happen, and so my faith is the thing that I'm stepping out on.
Yeah.
So so it's a trust element to it, but it's two very different things. Like you can literally you can trust in that bitch, but again, you don't need faith for it.
Right.
And so that thing you're speaking to there, Tim, is like spot on, man.
And that's what I was saying. Like, you know, I hear people all the time say somebody got stronger faith. I don't believe nobody's faith is stronger than the other. I believe people have stronger faith in certain areas. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I believe. I don't believe that, this person is way more faith. Like some people have more faith to go speak in front of people. I'm weak in that area. Does that mean don't have faith in God? No. That means I struggle in that particular area. So I'm not trusting God to use me in that area. It's not faith. I think it's more of a trust type thing that I struggle with at times.
I think with that too, that's so good, Tim. Like people, in the same scenario that you're sharing there, people, if they allow other people to condemn them too for not having, that trust in that certain areas. Like, especially if I have like a person has a stage gift, for example, where it's like a public something, they look at that as a greater thing than something else, and that's really not the case. It's just that the light shines on some things, and sometimes those things get magnified as if they are greater than something else. Now realize without the something else, that thing won't shine. Case in point, last example, I love calling people, there are some people who I believe are hinges, right? There's a hinge on the door. The door cannot function without the hinge. And so every person who claims to be a person, maybe the door is what gets used a lot, but if it wasn't for the hinge, the door could not function. You need hinges in your life. And hinges get discredited for not being something that's visible. No. I'm not trying, like you said earlier, I'm not trying to be seen, but I'm just called to function what God's called me to function in. And when you get out of place, everything else gets off.
That's good.
Tim, when you was talking, it's funny because I was seeing like people say, "Oh yeah, I trust God." You know how they always say, "Give it to God," like it's in God's hands. I see like sort of like an envelope. It's like God has His hand on the envelope, but so do you.
Right.
But when are you going to take that time to let it go and really trust God? I think it's the people trust God, but it's the word trust that scares people because they see people. They don't. I can't really speak on everybody, but they don't see God physically.
Right.
So it's like you see Him at a certain point, but you see people all the time. People done you wrong. So when they say, "Oh, trust me," it's like the word trust gets to certain people, and it's like, "Yeah, God, I trust you, but just in case." Just in case I gotta take control.
I think it's just like, forget the Bible verse when the guy asked God to help his unbelief. So he had enough faith to come to Jesus, right? And he believed in what Jesus can do, but he was asking you to show me so I can have stronger faith. I need you to show me. Is there something wrong with saying, God, I need you to show me so my faith can increase? It's not. But I think we speed past that, right? And be like, faith all the time is it is something that we don't see. That is faith, right? But it's nothing wrong with saying, God, I'm weak right here, man. Just help me increase my faith. I need you to show me something. Even when I forget the prophet in the Bible where he was like, tell God to flip the mat to show me a sign that you're with me. Ain't nothing wrong with asking God to show me a sign, because I'm struggling right now. You know what I mean?
I think we also abuse that.
We do, because God show me now.
the door slam at this very moment, then. But I do agree with what you're saying. It's twofold. It's twofold.
Like, I believe that God know who you are, right? Mm-hmm. And God, when it's like saying certain areas, He know that you're gonna combat Him, but He love you because He know, right? Mm-hmm. He still love you. That's my daughter. She gonna fight me, so I'm not gonna hold it against her. You know what I mean? So, but if you're somebody that always like questioning God because just to be for the sake of questioning Him, that might become an issue. But if God know that He just my son, my daughter weak in the area, so I'm gonna continue to show Him because I love Him. So at what point do we allow God to continue to love on us and be God and stop allowing people other way of seeing God to influence how we see God?
I mean, that's what,
you know what I mean?
I feel like that's what this is for now, like this quarantine that we're going through.
Right.
Like I said, it gives us time to where you can't rely on Pastor Alex or a certain person to, you know what, I'm just going to go to church and that's my thing. Mm-hmm. What happens when you don't have that, when you have to rely on yourself? Right. Your back's against the wall. It's nothing but you, four walls, and God.
That's it.
That's actually a good point because the responsibility for us to really be the church is really more on us, like never before. Because like you said, you were pointing to Pastor Alex, or maybe El Tami or Minister James or somebody like that. We can't always reach them because they're in like the same way that you're at home, maybe. Managing your family life, yada yada yada. They are also managing their family lives now. So now it's on us as the community to come together and rally behind each other, to support each other. So as opposed to like your minister lead coming into connection with, I need to reach out to Gerard. I hadn't heard from him in a long time. Let me go ahead and check and make sure that he's all right. And the more I think we do that kind of thing, the more of God that we do exemplify in our lives. Right. And I think that would build more community, even though it feels like we're so much further away from each other.
Definitely. It's basically our time to communicate with each other. Because I remember when Pastor Alex was saying how when you were talking there, you said like people be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna pray for you tonight or whatever. It's like, what's stopping you from praying for this person right now? Because then you're going to get by, oh, Tim, you know what, man, I forgot to call you. I mean, it's like, I was going to call you last week. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you were going to do it, you would have did it. Right then and there. But like I said, it's getting to a point where when we get this personal with people, it's like we have to take the opportunity to do it. Mm-hmm. We don't know what that person's going through when they get home. Like I said, we can all be smiling Hallmark cards while we're here and be going through it at the house going crazy.
Mm-hmm. The way that you phrase things.
I mean, that's how people think.
He said smiling Hallmark cards.
Hallmark cards.
Yeah. I just knew it was good.
It actually makes me wonder. I know you mentioned in the sermon that we don't have a backstory for Elijah, but I also wonder so much of how we view kind of God and church and relationship is stemmed from our family background. So I'm interested. I would love to know what Elijah's family background was and what his community was like at the time. Because eventually Elijah and Elisha partner up, and Elijah has. It's almost like he's not been in community for so long. Even when Elijah comes, it's kind of like, let me test you to make sure that you're really willing to stay through and thick or whatever. But it's so crazy to me how so much of Elijah's perspective could have been affected because of his community or his lack of community, and his approach to dealing with the situations that you were talking about may have gone a little bit better if he had maybe or allowed more than one or two people to be in his kind of ear or in his space. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's good. Even what you said earlier about how he was like, look at me, I'm the only prophet, right? That was so good because if you look at how after he defeated the 450 and the 400, right? And then still he looking at Baal like, man, she's still the same way. She's still the same way. God, I thought this was for me. God was like, nah, I never meant to intend for you to take out Jasmine. I just need you to do that. Now it's time for you to move on. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He wanted more glory. And what if God was like, nah, I can't let you get this glory. This is mine right here. You know what I mean? Like I can't, this is all mine. I already know where your heart was at. So time for you to move on.
what if this was all just it all happened just to see, like for God to show Elijah his heart posture for real.
Yep. Yeah. I already saw it. You know what I mean? I already saw where you was at. So move on. You know what I mean?
Because many times we don't see, given what y'all are sharing right there, we don't see that part of our heart's posture because it's like we're too close to it or recognize it. So when God uses something like that to reveal that part of us that we didn't even know was there.
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was so good how Ian broke it down first, where he was like, "Look at me, I'm the only prophet." You know what I mean? That tells a lot about how the story. I mean, it really does.
He was all in his pocket. It was like it was a whole dude who was Obadiah out here literally hiding people to save them from the same people that was his adversary. He was like, "Oh, it's only me."
Yeah.
Like, what?
Obadiah, what you doing? Ain't nothing.
And then he announced it, and like, cause in my mind, when I look at it from that text, I look at him talking to the people, just kind of like with his chest all out. It's like, guys, none of you are great. I'm the only great one. You know, it just sounds like who are like maybe if he had more people, more of a dynamic to be like, no, actually, you're not all that great. It was actually, did you not see? You know what I'm saying? Well, it wasn't about you. Are you sure?
That's what you said, like when you said in the sermon, you matter, but you ain't the point.
You ain't the point.
You know
That's it.
For real, like he mattered, but like you really ain't the point.
Like he must have been the only child.
Wait, trying to say about only children. I'm the only child, and it ain't always about me.